last few episodes, I've been diving deep into the mindset behind this coronavirus pandemic. And I've been telling you how it's going to get worse before it gets better. And you felt that. You now have the mindset to start to break through it. You have the mindset to start to find certainty behind it. But there's so much uncertainty in the world right now. We've talked about how schools are closing, how there have been professional sports teams that are not having their seasons anymore. The WHO has officially labeled this a pandemic, and it's just been insane and global chaos. And I've been teaching you how to lead during this time. I've been teaching you how to not just lead other people, but more importantly, lead yourself. And there's a way to get through this, and not just make it through, but to not just do it with a smile, but to do it moving your life and your business forward. Because this feeling of negativity that's been coming over you, it can go away. Because this will get worse before it gets better. And if you don't navigate this in your mind, it's not going to be a fun place to be. What we're going to talk about today is how to turn this into an opportunity and do it with integrity. Do it with integrity to serve the people that you love. My name is Brad Bizjack. I'm a mindset strategist and coach. I'm an international inspirational speaker, creator of a program called Appreciation Academy. And you're listening to the Path to Mindset Master Day. And so I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your time out of your day. I know you got a lot going on with your kids being at home. And my hope is that this provides you with the tools and strategies you need, not just to make it through a global pandemic, that too, but also to help you navigate any sort of chaotic part of your life. Because you can choose to be emotionally centered. You can choose to see the light instead of the darkness. Sometimes all you got to do to see the light is to shine a little flashlight on the darkness. That's all you got to do. You can choose to turn that light on. You can choose to get back into who you truly are. Get back to, because haven't you felt like you haven't been yourself lately? Like, haven't you felt like your spirit has been kind of taken from you? And that's what happens when the world is in reactivity. And I'm here to tell you, you can gain that control back. This can be one of your proudest moments of growth. I have been through it where I felt like this wasn't working for me. I felt like I was just feeling down and negative during this time of chaos. And I needed to reevaluate how I was feeling. I needed to come from a place of positivity and check my routines and check what I was doing to find certainty during this time. I needed to check how I was leading, but most importantly, leading myself, because you can't affect change in others until you're leading yourself. And so I made a decision that I was going to check how I was living my life. What was I doing to navigate this certainty? And so I started to apply some things. I started looking at history instead of headlines. I started consuming things that made me feel alive again, and instead of just consuming negativity. I started changing the meaning I was giving to the situation. I took it from, oh my gosh, my business isn't going to grow, to this is the greatest opportunity I've ever had in business. I went from faith to fear. I went from a place of panic to a place of gratitude, and I started leading myself in that way. And once I started to feel better, I started to realize that, oh my gosh, I have a social responsibility to lead other people, to help other people. And to do it not from a place of judgment, from a place of love. And realize that I have a social responsibility, not just to my followers, not just to my team, and not just to my customers, but also to my family, to my future kids. That's what I needed to figure out. The world is in panic. We get to help them. And we have a social responsibility to be the few that serve, to find the good. While the world is panicking, we get to be the beacon of light. When there's widespread pessimism, we get to be the optimist. When people are hoarding, we get to be the giver. It's time to double down on the positivity we spread to the world, because the world needs you now more than ever before. Be the example, not a follower, because this too shall pass. In one of the episodes previously, I talked about seasons. And I talked about how you think in winter. And by the way, if you haven't listened to my previous episodes on this, listen to them. They are game changers. It'll help you feel so much certainty, so much calm during this storm of life. You'll be the lighthouse instead of just bashing against the shore like a wave. You'll be the example instead of a follower, and you'll realize this too shall pass. But I talked about seasons and how after fall, to hear the full description of that, go back and listen to it. But I talked about after fall, after the harvest, comes winter. And we just went through the greatest harvest of all time, 12 years of amazing economy, when it was the easiest time in the world to be an entrepreneur. And we just got out of that. We went into winter. Winter always comes after fall. Don't worry about why that is. It just always does. That's how it works. And you can either choose to rip January and February out of the calendar, but it won't do very much, or you can choose to lead during winter, because how you think when you're down determines how long it'll be until you get back up. In fact, how you think during your winter of life determines how long it'll be until your springtime comes. That's what will happen. It will determine how long it'll be until your springtime comes. We need to remember that this too shall pass. Okay, so today is about finding opportunity during a state of chaos. How do we reframe this? Well, if you remember from a couple episodes ago, I shared with you how I was taking it to mean, the meaning I was giving to this painful situation was my business is going to fail because who is going to join me during a recession? That's what I was worried about. That was the meaning I was giving it. But I reframed it. I reframed it into something beautiful to take it to mean this is the greatest opportunity I have ever had as an entrepreneur to help and serve and love others. So what I challenge you to do today is to have a big picture perspective of how this is the greatest time in your entrepreneurial journey that you will ever have. The greatest opportunity you have ever had is right now. It's right now. Okay, so it's so important that we see it this way because if you understand basic supply and demand economics, right? Over the last 12 years, there has been an increasing supply of entrepreneurs, or wantrepreneurs, I should say. Increasing supply of people that are selling products online, services online, and in brick and mortar stores. But there's been an increase in a supply of people selling widgets, products, services, whatever it is. There's been an increasing supply of it. And so it's been hard to stand out in the marketplace because there's been so much noise. Well, with a global pandemic, what happens, and this is where it's an opportunity for you if you choose to seize it. What happens during a global pandemic, in any sort of time of maximum pessimism, it doesn't even need to be a pandemic, it could be a terrorist attack, it could be an economy crash, anything. Because these things are cyclical. Like cycles and trends. After business expansion comes recession. After day comes night. After fall comes winter. It's just how it goes. So during any sort of correction in the marketplace, the supply of entrepreneurs is going to go down, whether because they had a negative mindset take over them and they weren't too present with the people they were trying to serve and they just kind of backed out and were scared, which I challenge you not to do, which you now have the tools to navigate that. They backed out of it. And on top of that, maybe another reason is because they just didn't have the skills or strategies to get their business off the ground during that time. They didn't have the right mindset to stick with it through the tough times. And so there are going to be less and less entrepreneurs over the next few months. People are going to be weeded out by this. But the demand for what you have is going to skyrocket. The demand for what you have is going to take off more than ever before. Because let me guess, you sell a product, a service, whatever it is, and that product and service helps people, whether it's their health and fitness or their mindset or travel or whatever it is. And your product or service helps them. But deep down, it probably helps them in more ways than just you think your product does. Doesn't your product or service help people believe in themselves? Doesn't your product or service eliminate self-doubt and help them feel like they're truly something more than they used to be? Doesn't it give them a sense of community or love or hope? And in this time of fear and panic and scarcity mindsets, isn't that the most demanded resource of all? When you are in a time of fear, and when the world's in a time of fear, optimism, love, support, community, service, there's the greatest demand for that than there ever has been before. So there's going to be less people serving that and more of a demand for it, meaning that if you stick with this and see this as an opportunity, it will be the greatest time you ever had in business because all that noise you were trying to break through before becomes easier to break through. You start to have a voice of positivity, of love, of support. You choose to lead yourself, lead your family, lead others, lead your team through this time. And all of a sudden, you start to be the beacon of light for people. All those other people that were pretending to be the beacon of light that got weeded out by all the fear-based mindsets are going to go away. There's going to be a bigger demand for your services than there ever has been before. And you get to capitalize on it. Like I said, how you think in winter determines how long it'll be until spring comes. It's already spring for me. Because what I'm doing right now is I am planting seeds. I am planting massive amounts of seeds. I'm doing it on this episode right now. I'm planting so many seeds and I'm gaining people's trust because I'm teaching them what they truly need to know. You can do the same thing. My challenge to you, and people ask me all the time, well, how do I do this to see this as a time of opportunity? How do I do this without taking advantage of someone? It's really, really simple. Are you coming from a place of love and service or selfishness? What are you coming from? When you add your value to the marketplace and to the world, are you using it as a way to get or to give? Because people's bullshit meter is so freaking high. It is so high. And they will be able to tell a mile away if you are choosing to love, to support, to care, or you're just trying to get something out of it and to take advantage of an uncertain time. So how do you know? People ask me, do I charge? Do I not charge, etc.? That changes depending on who you're serving. So I truly believe that people's transformations truly happen when they pay for something. People do not value free. Of the hundreds and hundreds of testimonials of people's lives that have dramatically changed, marriages have been saved, depression overcome, people off anxiety meds, so many amazing testimonials have come from my services, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm not sharing that to impress you, but to impress upon you. None of them have come from this podcast. None of them. None of them have come from this podcast. I should say that's not true. I should say there are ratings and reviews of this podcast that are valuable and beautiful and wonderful. But the true transformations where people's lives have changed forever have not come from this podcast. They have not come from my social media content. They've come from what people have invested in. Because the transformation is in the transaction. When someone exchanges something that they value, money, for a service in return, they will take it more seriously. Think about it. Anytime you've ever invested in something, you take it more seriously than free. People don't value free. It doesn't actually do that much to change their life. So I'm sure there's some one-off people in there, but overall, that's true. So if you are charging people for your products or services, there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure it's done from a place of love, a place of service. My recommendation, what I would do if I were you right now, is to serve and love and give more than ever before. And what I mean by that is find creative ways to meet your customers' needs. Ask yourself, where are my customers really at right now? What are they truly feeling right now? Because a lot of times people will market to what they want to feel instead of marketing to what your customers need. Well, you have to meet people where they're at, right? If you are talking about creating the greatest business of all time during a time of maximum pessimism, do people give a shit about that? No. But if you help someone overcome obscurity and panic and scarcity during that time, do people care about that? Absolutely they do. So you need to meet people where they're at. So ask yourself right now, if you want to take advantage of this opportunity, you need to add more value in terms of what people need than you ever have before. Add more value than ever before. So ask yourself, my customers that I want to serve, where are they at right now emotionally? What are they feeling right now emotionally? What are they going through right now emotionally? What are the words they're saying themselves right now emotionally? What are their psychographics? And how can I tweak what I'm sharing to serve that need? Let me give you a perfect example. I have my podcasts that were all set up for this time of year. They're already recorded, ready to go. But when this global pandemic hit, what I did was, no, my customers need to break through this. They need to feel this sense of certainty during this uncertain time. And I pushed everything back and I filmed basically emergency podcasts and I put them into place here. I was meeting my customer where they're at. So you need to take a look at what is your customer going through and how can you add value to that in a creative way? Can you come up with just a free group to help people talk about positivity? Can you do a book club to help get people's minds focused back on things that will move their life forward? Can you do things to help them find ways to be present with their kids at home and still homeschool them? Can you do the different things to share on social media in terms of how they can get through this? Can you be that beacon of light? Do you need to share comedy? There's so many ways to help people right now. And if you followed what we talked about throughout the last few episodes, you'll be in the right mindset to give that. So the way to do this is, like we talked about last week, not judge people that are panicking. Help people that are panicking. Love people that are panicking. Meet people where they're at and serve them in a way that you have never served before. Above and beyond service. Add more value. That is how you stick with this. This is how you capitalize on a recessionary period. I don't know if we're actually in a recession, but it is a recessionary period, meaning there are things that have gone downhill. Wouldn't you agree? So how you capitalize on that is you do it from a place of integrity and from a place of service. You do it from a place of love, from a place of caring. I can't answer for you what you should specifically do in terms of your business strategy, but you do need to, but the overall principle of meeting your people where they're at and coming up with a new creative way to serve those people, that's what you need to be doing right now. Above and beyond opportunity more than ever before. The greatest businesses of all time were started during times of maximum pessimism. The greatest businesses on earth were started during the recession and the Great Depression. And I learned this at Business Mastery from Tony Robbins. It blew my freaking mind. It's because people identified the need and they serve that need when everyone else is panicking. You want to know how to stand out on social media? You want to know how to stand out among the rest? You add value when other people stop. That is how you stand out. You add tremendous amounts of value when other people stop. And it doesn't just need to be through your business. It can be giving people just a smile that they need. Give them some comedy. Give them a safe place to talk. Give them something where you're giving them creative ideas to do with their kids. Just give them something to move their life forward from a place of obscurity to a place of growth. People are here. You want them to come here. What can you do to help them bridge that gap? Meaning, and if you're listening and not watching, people are at a low point. You want to take them to a high point. They want to get to that high point. What can you do to bridge that gap from low to high? How can you serve them in that way? And when you come up with that idea and you sit there and you think about what do they actually need during this time, that will allow you to serve them more than ever before. If you add value right now to the people that need you and take advantage of this time, this is the greatest opportunity you have ever had, then all of a sudden your winter, your dark time becomes spring, because right now you are planting seeds. You are the one planting seeds when everyone else is freaking out. Be the person planting seeds right now. Serve them, love them, and of course, it is okay to charge for your services if it's done from a place of service and love. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. All business doesn't stop just because panic happened. All business doesn't stop. People will always pay to have their problem solved. People will always pay to have their problem solved. For example, if you have anxiety, you pay for a therapist, right? That's what you do. If you have a broken leg, you will pay for surgery or for a cast or whatever it is. You will pay for it. People will always pay to have their problem solved. As long as it's done from a place of love, caring, and service, very easy to solve those problems. So I hope you took a lot away from this. I hope you see what's possible for you right now. You can turn your winter into spring today. You just got to do what we talked about in the last couple episodes of navigating that uncertainty yourself, leading during a state of chaos, and finding opportunity during chaos by serving more than you ever have before. Thank you so much for tuning into the Path to Mindset Mastery today. My name is Brad Bizjack. Go out there today and every day and live your life with a genuine smile on your face, because when you're smiling, people actually want to be part of your life, your products, and your services. I'll see you in the next episode.